What is your name?
My name is Jaimie Cooper.
Okay.
I have autism.
So yes, growing up, I've always wished for 4 kids. I always prayed for 2 girls, 2 boys. My first daughter was a girl right after high school. 4 years later, I had my son. 7 years later, I had another son, which we lost. And then 8 years later, we had Jaimie. And Jaimie was a joy to have because we had just come from a loss of losing our son, whom my kids were really into. Unfortunately, he only lived a couple of hours. So then came Jaimie. Jaimie was bubbly, sweet, a caring, sweet daughter we had. We were all so intrigued and so glad to have her. And then the word autism came about, a word that I had never dreamt or heard of. The first time I heard the word was when my mom did not even know the word. My mom had noticed something was just different and decided that we seek help. So we decided to put Jaimie in a school, Katie Academy, because she was home with my mother. When Jaimie went to Katie Academy, the teachers noticed something, and then I listened to a mother whose son had autism after I explained what we have noticed, especially my mother. And then she said the word autism. And I was like, what is that word? And she explained that to me and told me what to do next. I went a little further. I went to the Google. The internet has been my resources over the years. And from the Google description, and I will read that, it says here that autism is a developmental condition that is typically lifelong. It also says here from the CDC.gov website, it says autism spectrum disorder, ASD, is a developmental disability caused by differences in the brain. People with ASD often have problems with social communication and interaction and restricted or repetitive behaviors or interests. And this is the definition. The first thing that came to mind was disability. From where we come from, when you say disability, disability has to be something physical from where I came from Liberia, West Africa. So because I did not see anything physical, I said to myself, I'm not sure what these people are talking about, but of course we will definitely look into it and seek help. And that's when the journey started. And over the years, we struggled with acceptance. I struggled with acceptance, especially after reading what the internet said about autism, especially hearing lifelong. That means I'm going to have a child that is going to be living with whatever you call it. And the scary part of it is, it says a serious developmental disorder that impairs the ability to communicate and interact. So I said to myself, how can I handle this? How can we handle this? And this is where we've been. Jaimie just turned 16, and the road has not been easy. But we have strived through. She has come through a lot, understanding herself and understanding us. And we as parents and family and siblings understanding her. So yeah, that's where our journey started and where our journey has been. That's where we've been. So Jaimie lost her speech at age 2.5. And then that's when she was diagnosed. So we had so much to juggle, so much to take in, so much to understand. But we went through it. There were times I felt like I was so alone, and I felt alone because I just had questions upon questions, and I kept saying to myself, where did I go wrong? What did I do? And I started to think about when I was pregnant, what happened? What did I eat? Did I eat something? What did I do? And then after the pregnancy. So then all the different, while we're waiting for the diagnosis, the official diagnosis, which was a school diagnosis, and had to do all these different paperwork explaining what happened from conception till delivery. It was really tough. I remember, like I told you all before, when we got Jaimie's diagnosis, the tears just couldn't stop. Because at that time, I had already read everything about autism on the internet. And it just looked so scary. So I kept saying to myself, how can I handle such a scary thing with a child? So for a minute, I was so alone, so quiet, because I was processing it. And as the years went by and as we went along the journey, Jaimie started to definitely exhibit lots of autism behaviors that were all what I read on the internet. Behaviors started such as headbutting, fighting, kicking, and everything else. And then we decided to seek medical intervention. While waiting for medical intervention, I was like, I definitely need to get a medical diagnosis as well, because I needed my conscience to be clear as to what went wrong. And so we did all of that. Today, Jaimie is thriving. There is still lots of other behaviors that come up. And because a child that does not communicate and say what that child wants will come out in behavior. Thanks to therapies. Autism, again, on the internet says it is not a disease. And because it's not a disease, it's a disability. Because it's a disability, disability can be helped with therapies. You still have to take medication to help. So we've had lots of trials, tribulations, and to find the right fix, to find the right one for Jaimie. But which one is the right one? And then we come to yourself and say, which one is the right one? Sometimes you don't find the right one. There are many days I went to bed crying because I just couldn't understand her. And I don't think she could understand me either. And there were many days I just shut myself down and just shut everything around me because I just couldn't understand the entire, what this process looks like and what is it going to look like in the future. But today we have come a long way. Jaimie has come a long way. And the journey still continues. So when Jaimie was diagnosed with autism at that time, we had no levels. We were out the other day at our mom's night out, and the newly diagnosed moms were talking about the different levels of their kids. And we older moms whose kids were diagnosed a long time ago, we were like, what are these levels? Because we didn't have levels. And yes, we did not have levels at that time, but now there are levels of autism. So what I know, what the doctor told us now, that Jaimie's diagnosis, we knew at that time that Jaimie was high functioning. So what is high functioning autism? And I'll read that off the internet. The term high functioning is intended to describe a person with autism who is independent and not as restricted by their symptoms as others. So this will be referred to now as level 1 as we begin to shift away from the use of high and low functioning levels. So basically, Jaimie is considered as level 1. And what does level 1 looks like or acts like? For us, we've seen a lot of fixation on particular subjects or ideas, meaning that she's fixed on things when that thing, if her eyes is on something, is on it. Language, of course. Social difficulties, but now Jaimie has come around and she can hug people. She can say hi to people. She can look at people in the eyes and look at people in the face. before she didn't. She had problems processing physical sensations. Whereas if you'll notice over the years, or you've watched us a while back, that was another thing my mom noticed. Jaimie only liked to wear soft textures clothing. So she only shops to 2 places that we shop at: Macy's, JCPenney, majority for clothing because of their texture, I believe. Some Old Navy for undershirts. Also, leggings. Jaimie doesn't wear jeans. In as much as we tried putting jeans on her, I think the texture. So she's either wearing joggers or leggings. Devotion to routines, all considered the high functioning level 1. She has to have a routine. If something is missed, behavior will kick in. Development of repetitive habits. She has to do things over and over. If you close the door to her, and that's also an obsessive compulsive disorder, Jaimie was also diagnosed with apraxia, which means her speech muscles in her jaws were weak, so she has to do what's called prompt therapy. We have a great therapist. Then also she was diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. The OCD has been really bad as well. So these repetitive habits are all on the OCDs. If you close a door, she has to close the door behind you. If she goes to a locker, she has to make sure the locker is closed. Anything. If she comes and sees her shoes and she knows the shoes are supposed to be either on your feet or in the room, she would take it and put it away. So those repetitive things causes OCD. When she's fixated or once sees something, it causes a whole distraction. Focus on self. She's always focused on herself. And there's a couple of unusual movement patterns. So these are all Jaimie's levels in her high functioning autism behavior that we've noticed over the years, and the doctor has also told us.